Welcome. My name is Krishan Mehta, and I am the Vice President of Inclusion and Equity at the Association of Fundraising Professionals, AFP Greater Toronto Chapter. I am also the co-chair of this very special initiative called From Diversity to Inclusion, an action plan for Ontario's charitable sector. We are here today to mark the launch of this groundbreaking initiative. Before we begin, however, I'd like to acknowledge the presence of some very distinguished officials here with us. First, welcome to the Honourable Charles Sousa, Ontario's Minister of Citizenship and Immigration and Minister responsible for the Pan American Games. Also, welcome to Senator Terry Mercer. Terry. And Ontario's Fairness Commissioner, the Honourable Jean Augustine. Welcome, Jean. I would also like to welcome our speakers for the day. Andrew Watt is the President and CEO of the Association of Fundraising Professionals. He's traveled all the way from the States today, so welcome, Andrew. Patty Greenwood is the chair of the AFP Foundation for Philanthropy Canada. Welcome, Patty. And Justin Poi, who needs no introduction. He is the chair of the Chinese Philanthropy Advisory Group for this project. Welcome, Justin. So as I mentioned to you, I am the co-chair of this initiative, and I'd also like to acknowledge my colleagues Tanya Little, who is the treasurer of the AFP Foundation for Philanthropy Canada. Thank you, Tanya. And Leah Eustace, who is the president of the AFP Ottawa chapter. I also want to acknowledge the efforts of the committees of both of the Toronto and Ottawa inclusion chapters, led by Nancy Horvath and Samantha Laprade. If you are in the room and you are part of the inclusion and equity committees, please stand, please, so we can acknowledge you. I hope you will allow me to take a few moments to tell you about the genesis of this exciting initiative and to provide you with some highlights about the work we're going to accomplish over the next few years. So I probably don't need to tell you that other jurisdictions often regard Ontario as a cutting-edge, inspiring, and worth replicating initiatives on diversity and inclusion. In some ways, it makes a lot of sense that we are leaders in this area. Ontario's urban centres are amongst the most socially and culturally diverse places in the world. About 3 million people here consider themselves to be visible minorities. And in recent years, we have made some considerable strides in areas such as gender and sexual orientation equity. While there is always work to be done in ensuring fair and equitable representation and distribution of power across all institutions, many would find it difficult to deny that Ontario has a track record of moving the needle on inclusion far beyond anecdotes and one-off projects. These are not only matters of social justice, but they are now economic and political imperatives. We have come to see that our community and province will prosper when everyone has an opportunity to be secure, to be cared for, and to demonstrate their care for others. And that's what makes this initiative, this latter piece about caring for others, so unique and so special. So our action plan was conceived over a year ago when we were looking to provide some bench strength to the Inclusion and Equity Committee within the AFP Toronto chapter, which was formed only a few years earlier under the leadership of Kathy Mann, who is here in the room tonight. Kathy, hello. I would say that Kathy and the members of the inaugural committee would agree that we spent a considerable amount of time trying to define ourselves and then determine what we could do for the fundraising profession. And then came the Ministry of Citizenship and Immigration's partnership project. Working closely with the foundation and the Ottawa chapter, we applied for funds to launch a series that would allow us to take a long-term view on inclusion in the sector. We believed that it was important for us to begin by uncovering stories of giving amongst emerging donor groups, and to carve out a dedicated space for dialogue on how to strengthen our charities with a distinct eye on inclusion. It is with these curiosities and the support of our boards that we applied and successfully received a multi-year commitment from the Partnership Project Office. I would like to take a quick pause here and acknowledge the support of the Toronto and Ottawa chapter boards, in particular, our president, Susan Horvath from Toronto, Leah Eustace from Ottawa, and Patty Greenwood from the foundation. Thank you for your leadership and support. Our project, also known as AFP Inclusive Giving, it's a bit of a mouthful to have to say this every time, is a number of organized presentations that will bring together, for the first time anywhere in Canada, donors, fundraisers, volunteers, and nonprofit managers to look at what we don't know, what we already know about giving within these communities, and how we can work together to become a world-class, forward-thinking, and inclusively minded sector. With this grant, we knew that we needed a leader, a nonpartisan voice who could represent all of us and could address this issue with conviction and authenticity. So, with the help of a very dear friend to this project, Mr. John Hondrick, we successfully secured the patronage of the Lieutenant Governor of Ontario, the Honorable David Onley. John, where are you? Thank you very much for your support. Thank you for being a great friend to this project. Over the next 3 years, the association will be organizing 12 conferences looking at giving within the following groups: South Asians, Chinese, Jewish, African Caribbean, Hispanic, Muslim, and Indigenous communities. While we are cutting across diasporas, cultures, and faiths, we are also looking at dimensions of inclusion by focusing on philanthropy and women, queer LGB groups, people with disabilities, youth, and Francophone Ontarians. We haven't got them all, we know, but we know that it is important for us to begin somewhere. And we knew that there was some information already there and that there was a sincere appetite to learn more. So the 12 advisory groups will be established, each made up of donors, fundraisers, and key leaders. And these teams will shape the overall direction and content of these conferences. We are pleased that 5 groups have already been set up. The South Asian Advisory Group is being chaired by Aditya Jha. Justin Poi, who you'll hear from momentarily, has kindly offered to chair the Chinese Advisory Group. Hamlin Grange, hi Hamlin, is leading the African Caribbean Advisory Group. Ken O'Coin and Elisa Levi are also here today working on the Indigenous Advisory Group. And we have Doug Kurt and Alistair Hooper who are working with us on the LGB queer groups. Over the next few weeks and years, we will be announcing a full slate of advisory group chairs and members. Looking forward to those meetings. So starting in January 2013, we will be running these conferences either in Toronto or Ottawa, and each conference will feature keynote addresses, panel discussions, and roundtables. The idea is that the information gleaned from these events will be used to develop white papers and an online toolkit for fundraisers and charity leaders looking to raise the bar on inclusion within their own organizations. Each of these conferences will be video recorded, archived, transcribed, and translated into both official languages. And the best part is that all of these materials will be made available for free online, and the conversations will continue through discussion boards and social media. We have articulated 5 overarching learning outcomes for this project. First, we want to develop our collective intercultural competencies. We also want to rethink and examine ways in which fundraisers identify, cultivate, solicit, and thank donors. Third, we want to learn about the best ways to promote and engage people on the ground and at leadership levels. This is very important. And we want to gain an appreciation of the nuances found within each community. It's what I call the diversity within diversity factor. And finally, I want us to have an opportunity to network with each other on cross-cultural interests and develop our intellectual bandwidth through research initiatives that may stem from these events. Needless to say, we have a lot of exciting work ahead of us. And at the end, I hope that we'll have created a foundation from which other conversations will emerge and more advanced information sharing can take place. Remember that this is a first time for our sector in Ontario and Canada. And some have even noted that this may be the first time in North America that we have approached diversity, inclusion, and giving with such rigor and deep coordination. So we'd like to treat this as an opening conversation of sorts, scratching the surface. And we look forward to your participation. So I want to thank you all for your interest in this work and for coming today to mark this occasion with us. Thank you.